I think when it comes to accessing our desires, women have a harder time being able to do that because of the emotional labor that is expected of us, right? Yeah. Men, I don't care what race you are, right? You are a little bit more allowed in the patriarchal societies that we live in to be connected to your desires, right?
Boys will be boys. Yeah. So will the royal oats. We hear it all the time.
But what I hear you saying, and this is something that I think black men do have to like contend with, is the respectability politics of it all, right? Okay, I have this desire, I'm going to go get it, and now I've gotten it at the expense of others, and I feel like shit.
Yeah.
I feel not great. This desire that I wanted is not bringing me pleasure.
I want to hear so much more about that, though. Yeah. This is a narrative I almost never hear, because I'm not making please let me say this without me having to work on what the fuck I'm gonna say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you look at hip hop culture, be it movies or music, there's no remorse. No. There's some shit don't feel right, my mind is playing tricks on me level, but it's still about more an intrinsic dialogue. It's not like I sold crack to the kids, felt bad after.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of that remorse. And it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, it just doesn't sell, right?
We also don't see it.
Because it doesn't sell, so it's better to keep it in check than to say that shit made me feel like shit.
And sometimes you see it, but it just doesn't have the label on it. Because a lot of men lack emotional intelligence, and so they're feeling and processing all of these things, and some of it doesn't necessarily correlate with what they see and what's being reinforced in society, and it can sometimes come out as frustration. And because we can't articulate it, and we don't have a strong enough relationship to what's going on in us and the practice of communicating it, because God forbid if we say something that isn't clear, that shit's going to turn into something else in the other person's head. And so
you want to control it before it comes out.
Yeah, and
you don't have the language to even control it.
So what you guys are saying so fits in this world where, as speech pathologists, which is what I was trained in, there are kids who have high intelligence but low expressive capacity, and there are other kids who have both high intelligence and high expressive capacity. You can probably imagine that they're both born with the same range of intelligence, but 50% of the capacity to express themselves, and they're treated in a particular way, versus the ones who have 100% capacity and 100% capacity to express themselves. My analogy is saying that women are afforded, and men have the same emotional range. You're born, you're a human, you have this emotional range. But men get practice at 50% because they're not supposed to have those feelings. But they have all those feelings, but you can only express 50% of it. Can you imagine how frustrated you are? Just like somebody who's super, super smart, but can only say 50% because the language just isn't there, because the practice isn't there. So it makes sense that there would be the emotions you're allowed to express: rage, frustration. Society said you're okay to do that. You're allowed to be in these movies where you're like chopping people's necks off and blah, blah, blah. You're allowed to do that. But you're not allowed to have a sweet, sensitive moment with the woman you love, not in front of people, that's for damn sure, right? So what do you do with those feelings? You put something else in there, or you just don't say it, and you just suppress and suppress and suppress.
And so I want to make sure, I don't think I've ever had the opportunity to communicate this, and thank you all. The desire piece is big, because everything in a male's world is about that. Boys will be boys. There's a cost associated with that I don't think gets talked about, which adds to that guilt. I don't know how to fucking be happy. I know how to get pussy. I know how to come. I know how to get my dick sucked. But I don't know how to be happy. And so
you're not allowed to talk about the fact that you don't know how.
Because everything has been wrapped up into desire.
You got all the women, so why aren't you happy? That's what they told you, make you happy.
And so what do you do at the end of the road when you realize that all of this desire, chasing all of this and having it be reinforced, now you're at a point to where you've got to actually sit with yourself to figure that the fuck out. And nothing around you supports that effort.